Greetings, I am Samael the Reaper, and you're listening to the Dragon Between podcast, a 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons campaign set in the Eberron pulp fantasy setting by Keith Baker. New episodes are recorded every Sunday and released on the following week. Don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel for clips and future episodes. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter for updates and news on the podcast. Thanks for listening, and remember, I am watching you.
When the characters last met, the group responded to a disturbance at a House Cannith townhouse. Upon arriving, the group discovered that the house had been assaulted by undead, specifically Carnathi undead, as they found skeletons and zombies wandering the compound amongst many bodies, fallen individuals. The front facade itself had been almost entirely destroyed, the windows broken, the frames shattered. As the group headed indoors to deal with this threat, they encountered a fifth potential member for the group, an individual named Adelum, who was in the midst of fending off this undead. The group continued to assist this newcomer until the newcomer displayed her abilities and was able to turn many of the undead away and force them to run out of the compound into the streets outside in the night air. The group continued battling fiercely against the creatures until Vrax, utilizing one of his potions of growth, turned into a massive version of himself and kept the majority of the remaining undead at bay as his comrades inside the house took out the rest of the skeletons. Upon destroying the remaining undead, the group introduced themselves to this newcomer and found that she had been part of another group that was working for someone named Lady E. At which point, the group found Lady Eladrin de Cannith hidden behind the double doors leading into a foyer. The woman was shocked at the presence of the group at first. Upon seeing the familiar face of Adelum, an outpouring of information began as Lady Eladrin informed the group that some sort of strange visitor had arrived and had brought a force of Carnathi undead that slayed all of the individuals within her manor, including Adelum's former compatriots. Lady Eladrin then explained that these individuals, these strange individuals, including some sort of strange rotund man whose features seemed to melt like wax and form into some sort of undead-like creature, and a large warforged wielding a sickening-looking scimitar, had stolen some type of data slate, several of them, and a creation pattern. These schemas and the creation pattern were then taken away from the townhouse, off into the night. Lady Eladrin has now tasked the group with hunting down these schemas and specifically finding the fourth schema, which is somewhere nestled deep within the jungles of Zendrick. The group were asked to return as quickly as possible to receive an advance payment and traveling papers. The group retired for the evening, heading back to the multi-storied manor, the tap room known as Trollskull Impetuocanum. Found rooms for the evening, rested themselves, tended to their wounds. All the while, the newcomer pored over notes given to her, explaining various information about these schemas and this creation pattern and what it could possibly entail. After resting for the evening, you each began to come to consciousness within the chambers, within the manor, the second and multi different levels of the manor proper. And Twinkle, you find yourself, your eyes cracking open, the morning sun rising up on the horizon, and you can feel yourself just sort of being baked by the early morning summer heat and humidity.
Ugh! It's too bright out here.
And there's a cat sitting on your chest.
And I snatch it.
Okay. Make a... I'll tell you what, make an acrobatics check. There is in the morning, early morning hours, within Sharn's welcome, within the alley known as Troll Skull, there is the sound of a which is cut short as you have a nice, furry, warm, tasty morsel in your hands now, Twinkle. That is not the same color as the cat that you encountered in the tower. Specifically in the attic, the one that flew off. This one is sort of like a sort of a tabby cat, and is now within your grasp. It's hissing. Its claws are out, and its claws are digging into your skin now. What would you like to do?
Bite it.
Okay. Like a little snack pack. Twinkle, alone by herself on the roof of the establishment, just sort of munches down on this feline morsel.
Excellent breakfast.
As you finish your meal for the early morning hours, within the chambers, the many different rooms of the manor, the upper levels above the tap room. Scorch, what are you doing?
Scorch wakes up from his sort of a trance-like state, and he's going to stand up, and he's going to dig into his bag. He's going to pull out a ration.
Okay. As you reach into your bag, there is a little bit of a tittering noise, like sort of like... And as you look into your bag, some sort of creature is within and is currently eating one of your rations.
The morning ration. And that's the name of the creature's ration.
Okay, would you like to describe the creature?
It is just an opossum.
Okay. Sort of like a elongated face. Fur is a bit mangy. Its tail is scaled and segmented in places. Its snout is elongated in sort of an angular, almost arrow shape. And its teeth are like needles. And when it sees you, it instinctively hisses and immediately begins to salivate all over itself. And upon realizing that it's you, it immediately stops and goes back to munching on this ration. Ration is eating a ration.
He will pat it on its little head, and he'll close the bag.
Okay. As you reach down to pet, Ration latches onto your arm and begins shimming up your arm, wrapping its tail around your arm for leverage to hold on to. And as you pull your arm up, it's now dangling from its segmented tail and just sort of looking at you upside down.
And then he will leave his room, and he'll go down into the bar.
Okay. So you're actually going all the way down to the tap room?
Yes, he is going to go into the tap room, and he's going to go behind the bar, and he's going to start making food.
Okay. As you get down into the tap room, you notice a little bit of movement. The woman from last night, she looks like she had just woken up not too long ago. She sees you. She greets you. Oh, the Warforged. What the hell is that? And she begins gesturing towards the creature that's dangling from your arm, which is now sort of shimmying up your arm onto your shoulder.
Well, that's just ration.
Charming.
And then he will.
Don't let it shit in here, all right?
Well, I think the ration shit tastes better than the food here.
And she just sort of looks at you and cocks her head to the side, and she says, "Watch it. I can very easily have you expelled from this place."
And Scorch will go back into the kitchen. He'll begin to make food.
Okay. Don't break any of my plates. And back up in the upper levels of the manor, Adelum, what are you doing this morning?
I'm waking up and gathering my materials, anything that I may have left scattered about in the room that I was in, probably reading late, and going down to gather some breakfast as well. I'm not very good at cooking, so I just kind of wait to see if I can order food.
Okay. Myrrh is currently nestled in your hair and is riding your, sort of latched onto your scalp. And you can hear, he's not quite awake, not quite, he's not asleep, but he's a bit dormant.
And make sure he's in place where if I make any movements, he won't fall as I...
You just hear little squawks and squeaks as you transition from the upper levels of the manor back down to the bottom. And eventually you get to the tap room proper. The tap room is currently, there's not many individuals, and there's a couple of humans. Look like they're dressed in work clothes, like they're wearing like possibly like some coveralls of some sort. And there is a gnome who is currently standing on top of one of the bar stools directly in front of the bar, and is currently going over some sort of ledger with the woman from last night. And the gnome turns, and as soon as you walk into the room, turns like, "Ah, more newcomers. Welcome, welcome."
Thank you very much. Do I have to return this ring now, or the moment I leave?
Adelum, as soon as you gesture with the ring, it turns to diamond dust and drips off your hand.
Well, that explains that then.
And then Lydia just sort of, "Yes, dear, as I said before, those evaporate in the morning. They're temporary."
Wonderful. Is there a way I can get breakfast in here?
I believe your friend, I want to say, is currently fixing something.
We're not friends, but the one I came in with last night? The
Yes.
Warforged?
Your traveling companion, the Warforged, is currently breaking all of my dishes, I am assuming. And there's this clattering and sound. It's not as horrible as she's describing, but she appears to have some sort of a negative connotation towards the Warforged that you met last night.
All right then. I go and I sit down at the tavern and curiously wait as a Warforged is cooking breakfast.
And you just hear, she just sort of cranes her neck out and says, you just hear her yelling, "You better not be breaking my dishes!" Back up in the upper levels of the manor. Vrax, what are you doing this morning?
Nothing important. I found a book in my room. It's a book on manners in civilized society, which I've been reading intently as I sit by the window and smoke my newly acquired pipe.
The book in question appears to be sort of a handwritten account of an individual who previously owned it, called himself Siegfried Lockhart. There's lots of scribbles in the margins, but the book is not overly thick. It's probably about 3/4 of an inch thick, but it's filled, absolutely filled with manuscript and different languages, Common, Elven, even a few that you're not really too familiar with.
Well, this Siegfried guy seems to be quite the, what is it? Dapper fella. Ah, I could learn a thing or two from him. I'm gonna have to keep this.
And as you sort of thumb through the pages, you eventually find yourself heading downstairs to the tap room, and you see familiar sight of the woman that you met in the previous evening. You don't see any other of your companions, but you can see the tavern owner, the woman named Lydia. You see some sort of dwarven man who's standing on a bench, or not a bench, standing on a stool right in front of the bar, and turns and look.
Oh, hey there, big fella. How you doing?
Good morning. I'm very well, actually. I'm going to attempt to smile at them and show them every tooth in my mouth.
And he just sort of looks at you, and he's just like, "Ugh, oh, keep working on that. Oh."
Well, you knew what it was, though, so I mean, that's progress.
I knew what it was. I don't think I've ever seen a lizard man try to smile before. Mostly they just try to bite and eat me.
Well, I thank you for your kind words.
I
sir.
think nothing of it. Any member of the order is a friend of mine.
Oh, good. We're friends.
Hopefully not enemies. Allies
Oh,
at the
no.
very least.
Best friends.
And he's holding a ledger out in front of him, which is way larger than his gnomish hands can really hold. So he's sort of awkwardly balancing the book on the tavern, the edge of the tap room's bar, and he's just sort of like tracing his finger, and he's nodding his head yes on one line, and he's moving to another line, and sort of nods his head no, and then he's nodding yes again. He just sort of goes back into his book.
So what you reading there, buddy?
Oh, I'm just going over the take for yesterday, making sure that everything is up in order. You know, you got to pay the guilds, all the, the Carpenters Guild.
Okay.
The meat man, Justin. He's the guy he's the contact.
That was an appropriate laugh, wasn't it?
To be very honest, I don't think I've ever heard a lizard man laugh, so I don't really have any point of reference there.
We will say yes. It's good to see you, good friend. Hope to see you again.
And
Likewise.
he turns back to his ledger. As you scan around the room, Vrax, you can see now that Adelum is seated and seems to be patiently waiting. You can hear some clattering off in the distance and to the direction of what you assume is the kitchen area.
Hail, Adelum, my friend. How are you this morning?
Everyone loves tossing that word around. I'm fine. Has your Scorched ever cooked before?
I'm sorry. He's cooking.
Apparently.
I'm going to say yes. I think he said he was a cook at one point.
Well then, we'll see what he can make.
Probably something better than me. I mean, if you feel iffy about it, we could always let Twinkle give it a go.
I'd rather not.
Speaking of Twinkle, what are you doing?
Walking my way down from the roof.
Okay. It takes you a little bit of time. Now it's the daytime. It's a little easier to see. But you eventually find yourself footholds and handholds, and you're able to easily scale the side of the building to a safe landing just above the edge of the roof. You're able to pull yourself onto the landing and make your way proper downstairs. And you find yourself within the tap room, the familiar sight of Rax and the woman that you met last night, Adelum. Twinkle comes in, completely coated in blood.
Yeah. Is that yours?
No, no.
So you found breakfast then?
Breakfast found me.
Pigeon?
No.
Very well.
Smells more feline.
I didn't know you could smell.
Well, where I come from, death is everywhere, so you get used to the different kinds.
That's a really handy trait if we ever needed to track something undead. Or something dead, like if somebody were to steal a body and we had to track it down.
I could possibly help in that, yes.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
I think the smell of blood from dead animals and dead animals in general smell different.
Twinkle, go take a bath.
No.
You're supposed to eat your food, not wear it. Now get outside and go lick all that blood off.
Lick the blood, I can do.
Adelum, as Twinkle starts heading towards the door, just snaps her fingers and does a small incantation and does prestidigitation on Twinkle, cleaning the blood off of her.
Twinkle, as you are heading towards the door, all of a sudden there's this cloud of red flakes that begin to rise up in the air off of you. And they make sort of a strange symbol in the air before dissipating. And you all see a sparkling, clean goblin, whole outfit completely like it's brand new, turns around, looking back at you all.
Ah! Demon close! Demon close!
Realizing my mistake, I just add a little bit of dirt to her clothing.
Okay. And in a quick instant, Twinkle, looking at your fresh, clean appearance, all of a sudden, poof! There's a few streaks of dirt. It looks a little bit closer to what you were accustomed to.
Oh no. We're doing it my way. And I run outside and I start rolling in the...
Okay. Twinkle,
All right.
the moment you step outside, Twinkle, you see 5 cats.
And I chase the one closest to me.
Okay. You chase the cats off into the distance, and each of the cats, they just sort of scatter off into different distance. The one closest to you that you're able to chase down and get to it, just as you reach out to grab the thing, it squeezes in between a very narrow passage between a row of crates on the side within the courtyard and the side of the house proper, and it disappears from your sight.
Well, there went second breakfast.
Within the tap room proper. Scorched, you eventually are able to whip up a meal for your companions, and you find yourself bringing this tray out to their table. And
Yes, Scorch had made a traditional Syrian breakfast for his companions, and when he comes out, you'll notice that Ration is now wearing a little chef hat.
as Scorched emerges from the kitchen area, moving around the tavern wall, he's balancing these trays in his hands. And you see now this strange little opossum sitting on his shoulder, which is wearing a tiny little poofy white hat.
Oh, and who is that?
This is Ration.
I am suddenly glad Twinkle's not here.
Yes, Scorch will then place the food onto the table in front of them, and then he would put the tray away.
Okay.
Kind of look at the food, move it with the fork, inspect it, carefully eat it.
And while she's doing
Scorch
that,
stares at
I've
you while
already
you eat.
swallowed it.
take a bite. How was it?
I jump up and high five Scorched.
Scorched, roll a performance check to see how
Performance.
yes. Let's see how well you're able to utilize the equipment and spices and components that you needed to create this spread for your friends. That's not too bad. So it tastes to you perfectly adequate, Adalum. It's nothing like amazing. Like it's nothing that you haven't tasted before. But it appears to you like a traditional Syrian breakfast.
I kind of eat it. I'm like, all right. And I continue to eat it with no problems. Pretty good.
It would have been better if the tavern had fresh ingredients.
I jumped up and, after swallowing mine whole, just immediately high five Scorch, and I'm currently holding a finger up to see if the possum will high five me as
Ration just sort of gingerly begins getting close to you and then leaps out onto your hand and is now licking the crumbs and remains from your breakfast off of your hands. Its little chef's hat bobbing this way and that way as it's just going to town. Its segmented, elongated tail is wrapped around your palm now and is looping around one of your fingers.
it's doing that to me.
Yes.
Oh my god, it's just like having a second Twinkle hanging from me.
Speaking of Twinkle, Twinkle begins to emerge from outside. A bit of a look of disdain on her face.
Twinkle, look, this is not food. This is a friend.
Scorch will take Ration back.
Scorch, Twinkle, you watch as Scorch reaches out and grabs some sort of furry creature that's not a cat, but is furry like a cat, and has an elongated tail that kind of resembles a giant earthworm.
What is that?
And the little chef's hat now falls off of Ration's head to the floor as you're pulling Ration off of Vrax's hand, and it's continuing to lick and just sort of like going "Arr, arr, arr," as you pull him away from the hand, and its tongue going wild as it's continuing to try and get every last bit of crumb off of your hand, Vrax.
I'm just going to keep my hand out patiently, waiting for Scorch to take his pet.
Scorch will take him. He'll put him back on his shoulder.
Okay. Ration now sitting patiently on your shoulder, as it has always done for as long as you have owned Ration. Very well house trained, or should I say shoulder trained. And its tail just sort of droops and then curls up under your armpit, holding itself fast on your shoulder.
What is it? Tell me what it is. It's so cute and weird. Is it yummy? Have you eaten one? Where did you get them?
It is an odd small creature.
This is Ration. Don't know
So
what
it
it
is food?
It is not food.
Oh. It could be food.
It is not food.
Sort of stirring on top of your head, Adelum, letting out a very loud yawn, just sort of like a is Myrrh, who is now just sort of clicking its beak together and stares across over to Scorched shoulder and is just sort of quizzically tilting its head.
I pat Myrrh right on the face and I go, that thing is not food. Speaking of, Scorch, do you have any raw meat just left over? And I'm scratching Myrrh to keep him calm.
You should let Myrrh hunt.
I have
Twinkle
rations.
sometime.
You should have asked me. I would have saved you some cat.
I'm not sure if cat is good for Mer. Maybe some rats, but not cats.
But if he eats
I
the
will see
cat,
what I can
the
do.
cat, or he has double the cat and the rat.
And
I'll
of course,
try to make sense of her.
Scorch, you remember that there's plenty of raw meat back in the kitchen. So, in very easy succession, you can either go back yourself and get it, or you can make a request of Lydia to bring some raw meat out to your table.
Yes.
Scorch would just go and get it.
Okay. And as you do, the little gnome is continuing. He's wearing sort of like a dusty purple robes. They look a little filthy. And he's continuing to pour over the ledger. He turns around and hearing the high, shrill noise of Twinkle's voice, turns around and says, "A goblin? Wow. Hello, little lady.
Hi!
What's your name?
Twinkle?
Oh, it's very nice to meet you, Twinkle. I'm Needles.
Nice.
So, what brings you all here?
Well,
Food.
we're a night and searching for more information before heading out, I suppose.
Okay. Well, if you need any help, any suggestions on places to go, where to seek out information, I'm your guy. I'm a mage right by trade.
A matron, eh?
Indeed.
What is that?
Oh, a mage right sort of plies their wares. I, of course, I haven't finished my studies with the university yet.
Does that mean you're a magic user with a job?
Oh yeah, people pay me all the time to do things. For example, and he begins walking up towards you, and the bits of clothing that you do wear, Vrax, that are a bit worn and torn in some places from all the fights that you've been in, he now waves his hands around in various concentric circles, and you watch as the cloth that you wear is now knitting itself back together and becoming closer to what it looked like the first time you donned it.
Ah, damn it, you tricked me. Now how much do I owe you?
Oh, that's nothing. You don't owe me a dime. I always help out my friends.
We're friends?
I hope so. I'd hate to
Best
be
friends.
best friends. It is.
Brax is making friends!
Hug.
And he just sort of nervously looks at you and
I'll take a rain check on that hug.
Too late. Vrax has got him.
okay. This tiny little gnome, the size of Twinkle now, you're holding him, and he's like, his face pressed up against your chest as you're holding him tight.
Breathe.
I'll let him go.
He falls down to the ground. He's like smoothing out his robes, and he's like,
Ugh, you're an excitable bunch. Where exactly did you say you were from again?
I don't think we ever did specify where we're from.
The street.
Oh, there's lots of people from the streets.
I'm from far, far away.
I am also from far, far away.
There seems to be a trend around here. It's funny. Been getting a lot of folks in here lately that are from far, far away and then moving on and going about their business. Isn't that right, Lydia? And your good-for-nothing son-in-law go far, far away after marrying your daughter?
and you just hear a woman sort of screeching off in the distance in the direction of the kitchen.
It's funny now, but it wasn't funny back far, far away.
Meanwhile, Scorch returns with the leg that he just tore off a piece of meat, and he'll give it to Myrrh.
Myrrh sort of bobs his head this way and that way, and sort of like an undulating U. And then as soon as you either set the meat down, sort of flutters down from Adelum's head onto the table and very quickly just attacks the plate and begins snatching up food and tilting back its head, and you just watch as it sort of gulps it down and tearing it off the meat into strips and then swallowing it whole.
Don't worry. Next time, I'll save you some cat.
As Myrrh is doing this, from on your shoulder now, you're feeling sort of a bit of wetness, Scorched. And as you look, you can just see that peeking around your cheek, where your cheek is, your little ration is now salivating and is dripping onto your shoulder down in the front of your chest.
Scorch will give him a second ration.
Okay. And he just sort of takes it from you, grabs it, starts biting into it. And as you're all...
Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, and as you're doing that, you all hear sort of the familiar sound of the sigil behind the bar as a fully decked out Alistair appears and begins wandering up towards your table. And he says,
"Well, I see you're all getting settled."
We sure are.
Mage right. Can you do anything to make his voice high pitched?
I'm afraid I'm not really too keen on...
I will pay you.
I mean, I could set his clothes on fire.
No, he'll need those.
Oh, I got an idea.
and he snaps his fingers. And the moment that he does, Alistair suddenly appears as a blonde-haired human woman wearing what, for all intents and purposes, looks like a normal commoner clothing attire. And Alistair's now raising his arms up and looking at his hands and turning them over.
What have you done?
That was awesome. How much do I owe you?
He just sort of waves it off. That'll be a gold.
I toss him the gold.
And he very quickly takes it, and it's gone. It's somewhere in a belt pouch somewhere on his body.
So worth it.
Does he stay this way forever?
Oh, no, just for a little while. And I could get rid of it if he wants. If he doesn't want it anymore.
No. He wants it.
Well, in that case, he'll be like this for about an hour.
Nice.
So,
Ha, you have skin.
Alistair, looking down at this illusion, just sort of slumps off into another table, not too far away from where you all are, but before sitting down, reaches over and grabs some of the food from the plates, and then carries it over to the table, and then just sort of turns his attention away from you all. Needles is now...
So, you didn't say what you're doing. What's your game plan for today? What are you off to do? I'm sorry, I don't mean to be nosy. It's just, well, most of my daily activities are revolved around reading a ledger and writing documents and sending it back to the benefactors and owners of this place. And, you know, I'm kind of starved for adventure, starved for excitement. So what are you all up to today?
I'm not sure. You should talk to Scorched. He's kind of the brains of the operation.
Scorched, it'd be this fella here with the, what is that, is that a possum?
Is that what it's called?
I do not know what this creature is called. All I know is I named him.
Well, Ration is a fine name.
But yes, I believe that we were going out to collect supplies today.
Okay, well, if you have any questions at all, I can point you in a direction. I know Cliffside pretty well, and most of the wards of the city. I can send you off in a direction if you need be.
I need a place to purchase tobacco and a clothing outlet.
Tobacco and clothing?
Yes. Is tobacco the only thing that you smoke? I'm
Well,
brandishing my pipe now. What else can I smoke in this?
I mean, there's plenty of things you can smoke. There's a few things that I wouldn't recommend smoking in public.
Would you recommend smoking them in private? Or maybe what entertaining... Hold on, let me look it up. Guest?
I suppose it depends on your guest's preference.
Interesting.
Isn't a guess when you try to figure out what the answer is?
No, that's a guest. Guess. A guest is someone that you're inviting to your home to entertain.
I can't read.
Don't spell around her. It confuses her.
I see.
They're they're very, very different. One of them has a "t" in it, and the other one does not.
Oh.
Clothes and tobacco. Well, there's a place here in Trollskull, actually, you can get those things.
Very well.
Also, do you know where someone could get spell scrolls or other adventuring material?
Oh, that would be Zidvel's shop. He's here within Trollskull. Oh, yeah, you guys are lucking out. You're not going to have to go hardly anywhere to find what you need. Y'all are making it too easy. Zidvel is just south of here in Trollskull Alley, and then the shop that you want to go to is not too far away. There's an herbal shop that you can go to. You can pick up potions. You can pick up the tobacco. She even sells fine clothing.
I would like to go and see if there's any upgrades there are for me in this city.
Upgrades, you say? Well, I only knew of one place. And that place is, if I'm not mistaken, that's in the Bazaar district up in Dura. It's a little shop run by a gentleman. I haven't heard from him in a while, but I know his niece was owned the shop. It was called the Mad Tinker. It's right down from Gelf's House of Cheddar, if I'm not mistaken.
It's a house of cheese?
Well, it's not made of cheese, little one. It's just what they call the place. They specialize in cheese. That's one of their favorite things. Folks come from all around to sample the wares of that place. And Gelf, he spares no expense.
Question
Yes.
for the DM: Are Atlas slates? Do they have general maps, or would we have to go somewhere to update them for locations we want to go to?
All Atlas slates, which are distributed in most communication hubs all around the city, they cost a couple of silver, and essentially they work similar to Google Maps, whereas you get a topographical overview of the city and the different levels, and you can either think of the place that you're looking for, and you'll get different suggestions which will pop up on the slate screen. Or if you know exactly where you want to go, all you have to do is hold it in your hand, think of where you want to go, and it will give you just directions of where that place is.
So that only covers a city, so it wouldn't cover, let's say, specific jungle we're going to.
Unfortunately, no. The Atlas slates are limited to Sharn. This is a relatively new device. And as you turn and look, you can see that there is a rather large, what looks to be semi-opaque crystal window, which is floating above the mantle of the fireplace. And it has a dark wood frame that almost looks like a picture frame that's around all four corners of this thing. And it appears to be hovering a few inches away from the wall above the mantle. And you can see above the mantle there actually is a data slate which is sitting on the mantle just below it. And as you're staring at this screen now, as you look at it for a few moments, the image changes from that of this sort of milky, semi-opaque green glass to that of this beautiful three-dimensional image of various vistas and popular places within Khorvaire. Like at first you see what looks like a bird's eye view of Sharn, and then the image shifts, and now you're seeing the countryside of Breland. And then it shifts again, and now you're seeing Stormholm. And now it's shifting again, and now you're seeing the Eldine Reaches. And then the various darkened swamps and marshlands of the Shadow Reaches. And it just seems to keep shifting. It's very strange. It's unlike anything you've ever seen before. It almost is like a painting, but it's three-dimensional. And the image is shifting every so often to a new place. But there is apparently an atlas slate available sitting on the mantle below it.
Can I go over and inspect it in my hands?
Sure. And
Casually do that.
as you pick up the atlas slate, it appears to be sort of like a somewhat flexible bit of crystal. Like it's almost like a sheet of crystal, and it sort of flexes in your hands as you hold it, but doesn't break or crack. And it has a metallic holder that, just like the larger crystal window which is floating above the mantle, this is a smaller, almost like a 5x7 sized piece of crystal, and has a metal frame that's around it. You can see like bits of silver and electrum and various bits of filigree that around the edges of the device. And as you hold it in your hands, the image suddenly, this image of Sharn erupts and appears before you on this device, and you can now see an overhead view of the city. And you can see various what look like banners that begin to unfurl out. As the larger zoomed out overland view, you just see a little scroll work that flies out, and you can see in script it says Sharn, City of Towers. And you can start to see now various scrolls that appear as you look to the various parts. It almost seems to track your eye movement. You look to one section over to the east, and you see Tavik's Landing. You look over to the western section of the map, and you can see Cliffside, where you're all located right now. And again, as you continue to look around, you see all the various wards and districts of the city.
Is it similar to the atlas slate that I already have?
It's actually identical to your atlas slate.
Oh. I go ahead and I put this one back.
Now, as you've been holding this one and looking at it, the image which is on the atlas slate that you picked up from the hearth is transposed onto the window, which is floating above the mantle, above the fireplace. And you're now seeing a much more highly detailed three-dimensional image of the multi-leveled city of towers. And as you've been looking at various wards and districts, those images are being created in three dimensions. The many towers and sections are now appearing onto this image, this window. And it's in 3 dimensions. It almost feels like you could reach right into it and touch what is being projected.
Okay.
And as you put the atlas slate down onto the mantle once again, the image now shifts, and that milky green image shimmers and now becomes the vistas that it was previously displaying.
Huh.
And you hear Lydia now emerges from behind, and she watches as you put the Atlas slate, and she says, "Oh, I see you found that piece of trash that we caught about a month ago. Have you ever seen one before? It's called an infinity view screen, made by the Castellantes.
Can be rather useful.
You can use it to contact folk. Of course, I can never get my damn son-in-law on there, but I've given up on that." And she just sort of pulls her apron strings a little tighter and sets to cleaning off the table, and is now looks over to Needles and says, "Hey, you, make yourself useful. Why don't you go outside and make sure that the lift is working properly? We're having some problems yesterday." And Needles says, "I am not ordered to help." And as he says that, he immediately hops down from the stool that he was standing on and shimmies towards the door and goes out the door. And Lydia says, "That's right, you little fucker. Do what I say." Under her breath.
Jeez. I go over and pick up anything that I may have left at the bar there, and
Okay.
I look to the rest of the group. I'm like, if anyone has anything opposed, I think I'll head out to go gather some material.
Would you like me to go with you?
I'm fine with that. Might as well stay together since we're doing this as a group.
What about the rest of you?
Might be able to make friends, Rat.
Vrax has went to go talk to somebody at the moment with work.
What about you, Twinkle?
I'll do whatever y'all want to do if it involves food or whatever your friend came from.
Perhaps we'll stop by the House of Cheddar then.
Woohoo! Cheese!
Okay, so is Vrax going with you guys?
I assume he is.
Yes.
So, Vrax, you're heading off with Twinkle, and I'll go ahead and say Alistair is going to hang back with. He's just gonna sulk in the corner and hang back for a while until that spell
With his squishy soft skin.
until that spell wears off.
Oh boy. Are we able to walk there from here?
Where are you wishing to go first? I guess I should ask.
Well, Zinfell seemed to be the place to go, since it had most of our items like in one place.
Okay.
So I guess there first, and then we'll get more obscure items after.
Okay. So you're all heading off out into from the tap room proper into the courtyard. You can see now the air of the brilliant sun now. It's approximately, say that you were all out at breakfast now for about 45 minutes, so it's about 7:45 now.
Early enough, yeah.
And what would you all like to do? You wanted to head down to the Zinfell shop. Okay. So that would be the shop that the rest of your companions have actually been to before.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so it'd be the hobgoblin man that you dealt with earlier.
Ah,
other
the
day.
one that sold me my pipe.
Yes.
Nice.
And as you're all out into the open air of Cliffside and Sharn's Welcome now, the sounds of the streets, fairly raucous sounds of sailors, sounds of carts and horses amongst the sounds of the crowds now milling through the streets. And eventually you find yourself at the raised platform, which is protruding off the edge of the courtyard. And you see the familiar sight of Needles as he is currently bent over, staring into some little node of some sort, which is on the edge of it. And he very quickly closes this little opening, this little tiny little door in the side of the node. He goes, "Well, there you go. Go right ahead." And as you all make your way onto the platform, there's a little bit of vibration, and it starts to bob a little bit, and then it starts to drop. And all four of you are now falling in midair down to the ground below. Make dexterity saves.
I cast Featherfall.
Okay. You are now watching as you reach out with your hand and very quickly pull out the component that you need to cast the spell, and you find yourself now falling harmlessly down to the ground below.
And I can cast up to 5 other people.
Oh, okay. So one by one, as each of your friends are dropping like stones, they're now floating in midair and slowly falling down to the ground below. You just watch as the lift hits the ground and just like and just nearly flattens a passerby who's just like, "What the shit?" as he runs past and just flies out about 8 feet, falling flat onto his stomach, skinning his chin, and now turns around and looks up as the rest of you are harmlessly floating down to the ground below. And from above, you can just hear Needles, who's yelling out, "Sorry about that!" And as you all reach the cobblestone street of Troll Skull Alley, looking now at the damaged platform, which is now sitting, you can see sparks coming off of that little node that Needles was working on earlier. And a bit of a crowd is forming on the outskirts, not too close from where you're standing, but you can just see like folks who are now like talking in hushed tones and looking in your direction.
Is everyone all right? I look at everyone to see if anyone needs any form of curing. Not only us, but people around us as well.
Miraculously, it looks like no one was harmed by this platform falling to the ground. But there is a somewhat of a crater from it hitting the ground now. And you can see where there are cracks in the cobblestone street that stretch out striations in all directions from where it impacted the ground.
Huh.
And after a minute or two, the crowd now disperses. Just another day in Cliffside, apparently. And from above, you can just hear the hushed yelling and shouting from up above in the from the tap room. "You did what?" But off in the distance to the south, you see the path is clear to Zinfel's shop.
All right. Little prestidigitation, get all that dust off. Don't need any of that, and make my way to the shop.
Okay. So as you get to the shop, it looks to me like from the outer facade as if it's some sort of a bookstore. and it has a sign that has a golden dragon that's curled around what looks to be some sort of treasure hoard of books and scrolls. And as you look through the windows, you can see that it's decorated with all kinds of laminate hardwood. And as you open the shop, there's a bit of a rush of cool air, and it just sort of wafts over you. And there's a little sound of a bell as you open the shop to signify that the door has been opened. And as you look within the shop, there's a few commoners, a few individuals who are wandering the shop, sort of perusing. And there is a hobgoblin man who is wearing very, very thick robes, layers of robes. And he's currently standing behind the counter. And he has a very long wooden pipe that he's currently resting in his mouth. And he's sort of nodding in agreement with the individual who is looking, standing in front of his counter. And he appears to be completing a sale. And he sort of perks up, his eyebrows raise, his long wispy beard sort of jiggles a little bit as he turns and he looks over and he says,
"Oh, repeat customers. I'll be right with you."
And the few minutes pass by, and then the individual who was completing the sale now turns around with an armload of books and some little box, and now starts walking out of the shop. Big, wide, warm smile on his face, big, bushy mustache. He looks at all, and he just sort of walks past you all and says, "Good day to you."
Good day. Can I see what books he's taking out of the shop?
They don't appear to have any sort of writing on the bindings. That looks familiar to you. These books, the bindings appear to be almost custom. So there's no sigils that are. They appear to be in different colors, like sort of a dark navy blue, a light forest green color. But the edges of the pages you can see have a filigree of some sort, of different colors. Some is sort of a copperish color, another is like a silverish color. Very high quality paper, whatever these books may be. And the box that he's carrying appears to be, from what you can see, appears to be a box of vellum, like a box of paper, which is sort of strapped with rope on the sides. And it's an open crate, like a wooden crate. You can see the thick pieces of vellum within it. And attached to the side of that box, you can see that there's various vials of ink, which are now hanging off of a little side rack on the side of the box. And they sort of clink together, the sound of the crystal. And as the man passes and exits out of the establishment, the other individuals who are just not really seriously shopping, just kind of perusing, Zimfel now turns his attention to the four of you.
"Oh, welcome back. My friends from before, how are you?"
He now gestures towards you, Varax, and says,
"I take it you'll come back for something, some sort of trinket, perhaps to sell something, buy something?"
Yes, I'd like to see if I can get any more of this tobacco. This stuff's great.
"Oh, my friend, I buy the stuff by the crate load. I'll be more than happy to let you have some. It's less for me to have to smoke. We can settle up that later, though. That's no problem. Is there anything else that you came in today for?"
Do you have a fancy hat?
"Indeed I do, actually. I just got this from the shop the other way. The herbalist sells these. That's
Really?
all. Yes, over at Corallin's Crown. Fala, she makes and sells fine clothing in addition to the herbs. She's also the source of my tobacco habit."
and she,
Very nice.
Zinfel now, sort of, with a flourish, he sort of gestures now to his hand. He very quickly makes sigils with his hands, and appearing within both hands, he now holds up sort of a wide-brimmed hat with this sort of like a circular, tall, and flat on top. And he holds it out to you.
"Try this out for size."
It has sort of a silky texture to it. The material is very, very fine. and it fits over your frills very easily on the top of your head. You can actually adjust it so that it's straight on or at a rakish angle.
Very nice. Very nice. Could I just bother you for one moment to give me some advice? I'm not familiar with the humanoid customs around here. Take a look at this book I got here and tell me if you think the gentleman writing this book would be out of place wearing a hat like this.
And he very graciously pulls out a hand and says, well, I'd be delighted to. And he takes the book that you found within the tavern and looks at it. Well, this is someone's personal diary, it seems. And he begins flipping through the pages. Owned by someone known as Lockhart. What exactly are you wanting to know? Exactly. You mentioned the customs.
Well, I'm wanting to fit in better with, non-reptilian society, and I don't quite understand the niceties of civilized culture, I guess you would say. And I'm using this book as somewhat of a guide. I was just wondering if the hat seems to fit.
Well, I can tell you, my friend, that something like this, and as well as a combination of finer clothing, could possibly make yourself a little bit more easier to fit in within the crowd. I could definitely attend a fine dinner party with this sort of a hat and possibly something from Fowler's collection. Her summer collection of clothing is a bit more to your, I will say, to your liking. She might have to make something custom for someone your size, of course, and especially a pair of trousers to accommodate your tail, if you will. But I'm sure that's as simple as a seam rip, and there you go. Now your tail can fit.
Nice. Very well. I will need to get in touch with them then.
How could you fit a hat on your head if you have the red frilly things on it?
The red frilly things fit underneath my hat.
And
see?
As Vrax reaches up with the hat and begins to place it over, you notice, Twinkle, that Vrax's frills are sort of fleshy and soft. And they sort of flatten and move a little bit, and not in an uncomfortable way, as he pulls the hat over his head.
Like skin. Scaly skin.
You seem to be fond of skin today, Twinkle.
She's making fun of people who have skin.
I look at my hands.
Yeah, it's generally expected that, the stronger creatures, not making fun of you for being fleshy, but the stronger creatures such as myself, which come with natural armor and scales, or even Alistair and his feathers, they serve a purpose, whereas skin, it just keeps your insides from falling out. It doesn't really protect you at all.
I am rather squishy, and from my previous group, I am surprised I was able to manage getting out mostly unscathed.
It's not that we look down on you for it. We just worry about you, that's all. We just don't want you to get hurt.
Vrax really likes his scales.
You worry
So
about
it's
me?
Funny.
Well, of course we are. I mean, look at you. You don't have a tail. I mean, how do you keep your balance? You don't have any scales. I mean, anything could hurt you. I mean, I bet the simplest blade could easily cut you. And on top of that, where are your fangs?
You don't
In the
even
event that you
have
don't-
the big ears.
And you don't have claws.
I might not have claws or fangs, but I have other ways of protecting myself. Yes, a blade would hurt a lot, but I don't usually expect to be face to face with any blades. And plus, why would you worry about me? You've only met me, yesterday?
Well, I worry about all of my, human, elven, flesh-covered friends.
I'm not elven.
I'm not sure what you are, to be honest with you. I just know that you have skin and that you're not a lizard.
Well, you're right there.
But I'm not one to judge. Maybe it feels a lot better wearing skin. Maybe you can handle heat or cold or Rain. Maybe you could handle rain better than my scales do. I bet you don't have problems with your skin mildewing, do you?
No, I can't say I do.
She probably keeps warm better than you too.
I don't see how. Laying out in the sun, she will never absorb any heat through her skin the way I absorb heat in my scale.
But
Well,
she can keep it longer than you.
Shut up, Twinkle.
you kind of see her like scan you in a So they're just like lizards from books. God,
Who is?
that was more of a thought.
Vrax is just looking at you very concerned, like he's worried that you might fall over dead any second.
Zenfell is just sort of absorbing this conversation, just sort of like nodding his head, and just sort of looking in your direction, Adelum.
You're new. You weren't with them before.
Certainly wasn't.
A witness, kill him. We're kidding.
And he just sort of chuckles and snarls a little bit.
You're a funny one. Welcome to the shop. Welcome to Bookworm's Treasure. My name is Zenfell. What can I do for you today, young lady?
Well, I'm hoping you would have some spell scrolls or some other materials I'm looking for.
Well, I have a number of spells for sale, and I can scribe the spells into a scroll for you, but of course that costs twice what I have listed for the spells that I currently have.
And he now gestures towards hanging on the wall. You can just see, and this very large chalkboard, and he has written out many spells of many different levels. He says,
And a more expensive and the spell, obviously, a spell, for example, like Bigby's Hand or Modify Memory of Cone of Cold. Those cost 750 gold to jot down into your spell book, or double that if you wanted a spell scroll. I also have Arcane Eye, Fabricate Greater Invisibility, Ice Storm, Locate Creature, Polymorph. Those will run you 300 gold apiece, or 600 if you want a spell scroll. And he continues to rattle off different spells, starting at the high end with Biggie's Hand and the other two, and then moving all the way down to like Comprehend Languages, Detect Magic, Featherfall, Find Familiar, Mage Armor, Magic Missile, Shield, Unseen Servant. So it ranges in price from 750 gold to 25 gold in terms of spells that he'll allow you to write into your book. Or he can sell you a scroll for double the price listed for each one.
Well, I kind of nod my head as he goes on explaining, and once he's finished, I go on and I say, well, I'm looking for two spells in specific, invisibility and locate object. More simpler spells, but ones that I'm going to find necessary.
Okay. Were these spells that you're wishing to have a scroll, or did you just want to copy it into your own book?
Copy it would just be fine.
Okay. So the first one was
Invisibility.
Invisibility. Okay, that'll run you 75 gold Galifars. And the other one was
Locate object.
Locate object.
A second level spell.
Oh yes, I know.
And he is looking at this menu of service, which is up on the board. And as you can see, as you're looking, you don't see locate object. But he says to you,
I'll tell you what, since you're with my friends here, I'll be more than happy to go ahead
and he begins now reaching behind the counter now, and he starts pulling out another book, and he pulls out the book, and you can see now the glyphs, and he says, "This here, you can be more than happy. You can copy this spell down. Here you go." And he pulls out the locate object.
All right. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Are there by any chance, any potions that you have for sale?
Well, I don't sell potions. However, Fala, the young lady who supplies me with my smoking habit, she sells potions.
Okay.
And she's just down the way over to the east. A few shops down, you'll find her.
And so to copy both of those spells, he is going to go ahead and charge you 150 gold.
Okie doke.
So you can take the time if you wish to copy those spells down and go ahead and deduct 150 from your gold pile. And just remember that those are the spells that you've written down into your spell book if you haven't already done so.
Done so just now.
Okay. And he looks to you. He says,
Very well, all is in order.
he takes the gold Galifars from you when you're done, and he looks. He says,
Is there anything else before I move on to your companions here?
For now, I think that's it.
Okay, very well. Very good.
and he now gestures to you, Scorched.
My friend there in the back, how can I assist you today?
So what I require is not sold at the shop.
Oh, maybe I can point you in a direction. What were you looking for?
I'm looking for the Mad Tinker.
Oh, you're looking for the Mad Tinker. Oh. Okay, well, definitely, that's another completely out of my range. I understand why you'd be looking for an artificer. I'm sure that you can find what you're looking for up in Dura.
I don't think you understand. We're cool. So if you know anything about that specific title, let us know.
Well,
And he sort of pulls his hand up to his chin. He starts scratching his beard.
I mean, bro, look at us. We're the kind of people that would ask for a person like this.
well, Dimble has a reputation. He's not seen often anymore. After a bit of business he had with the emergence of a new house, House Sulatar. He had some dealings with them. A bit of a, from what I understand, a misunderstanding between the benefactors of House Sulatar and Dimble. Apparently was their guest for a while. That's the word on the street. But it seemed that Dimble was working on a project for them, and ever since then, the House Sulatar has now introduced new ways to navigate the seas, if you will. New types of ships. Have you ever heard of a submarine?
A submarine?
That sounds made up, so I'm going to say no.
All words are made up.
And he just sort of laughs and chuckles for a moment.
A submarine, that's what Dimble called it, but I think they just called it a water ship, or a waterborne ship. The opposite of an airship, if you will. It's like a sailing vessel, but it goes underneath the waves instead of on top. Very peculiar.
So it's a swimming ship?
Exactly.
Cool.
So yes, Dimble, he sort of let his niece Flizzy take over the business, and Dimble sort of disappeared for a while. I know he had some dealings with Zalago and dealings with House Larandar, who weren't too happy with his involvement with House Sulatar.
And he just sort of leans back now, and he takes his pipe out, and he's starting to light it now, and taking a draft off of it.
Well, if there's nothing else, little one, did you want something?
And he now gestures over the counter down to you, Twinkle.
Do you only sell the magic things?
Afraid so. Books, spells, scrolls. It's really that's my bag, if you understand.
Then I'm okay. I can't read, and Mama always said stay away from the sparkle.
Well, very well. Well, if that's all, I will bid you all a good day. My friend, anytime you need some more of that tobacco, you come to me. I got a crate full of the stuff. Oh, before I forget, and he now turns behind and he goes off into a little side room, and he comes out with a 2-pound bag of this stuff, which he has stuffed into a tarpaulin. Don't get this stuff wet, okay? And he now hands it over to you, Vrax. This big, not quite heavy, but it's got some girth to it. It feels like a pillow made of tarpaulin. And you smell that spicy, sweet smell of the tobacco coming through. I wouldn't smoke too much of this in one day if I were you. It's a bit addictive.
Nice. Oh, one last question. I saw this picture once. This really fancy guy had a it was like an eye patch, but it was also like glasses. Does that make sense?
Something worn over one eye?
Yes.
I think you're referring to a monocle. It's more form than function, more for not really meant to use for magnifying, if you will. It's more it hangs off of a chain and you can rest it in your eye. It's more of a fashion statement. Fala might have one. I would ask her.
Very well. I will do so.
Very well. Well, I will bid you all adieu. You have a lovely time. Please visit me again. This I get so many travelers every day, but it's lovely to see a repeat customer.
It's great to see you again, best friend. You have a great day.
And you as well. And take care of yourselves out there. Shan can be a rough place.
It is now. We're here.
Oh, indeed. And as you all step out into the warm morning air within Trollskull Alley and turn yourselves to the east, passing a few shops, you find yourselves approaching the outer facade of this shop now. That's a 3-story townhouse. And you can see that at the very top of it, you can see a greenhouse, and the translucent glass walls you can see within. You can just see this rainbow color of flowers that are blossoming from within. And on the bottom level, you can see boxes of flowers and various types of vegetation which are hanging out over the edges of the windowsills. And as you enter into the shop, you can see a wood elf female with a long braided hair. And she turns and looks, and she smiles at you, and she has sort of like a pensive look to her eyes when she sees this collection, this menagerie of individuals who come into her shop. And she says, "Well, hello there. My name is Fala. Welcome to my shop."
I need a monocle.
A monocle?
Yes. I need one.
Okay, I'm sure I can probably find something like that. My goodness, you're a large fellow.
Thank you.
And she turns around and begins looking through the various cases. And she's like, she turns around and with a bit of a look of sadness on her face, "I don't have anything right now, specifically what you're looking for. I just sold off my last bit to a group not but a week ago. I had a group of individuals who came in who were attending a party up in the Skyway. But if you hold on a sec, I might be able to point you in the direction of someone who would sell or make one for you."
Very good. And they must have been incredibly fancy, well-to-do people.
Oh, very, very much so. To be invited up to the Eartane estate definitely. The Irtanes have a function just about every month. They hold a party for the folks, the families, the 60 families, and various adventurers and well-to-do individuals. And
Did you say the Wu-Tang estate for a party for the 60 families?
no, honey, the Irtane estate.
I apologize. I heard that wrong.
Lady Irtane, she is a socialite, a social butterfly to the other folks that make up the 60 families, the various noble families within Shan. And she, of course, entertains them as well as adventurers and businessmen, women from all over Corvair and Eberron.
How do you say their name again?
It's pronounced Irtane.
Word on the street is the Irtane clan ain't nothing to fuck with.
Well, I wouldn't know. That's very amusing. Was there anything else that you wished to have today, that you were looking for specifically?
Can I take a general look around at her shop to see what she has?
And certainly. And she has a number of potions that she carries. And she also sells herbal remedies like teas and, of course, the tobacco that Zinfel mentioned. And as you look around the shop, you can see that there are rows and rows of vials and of various different colors and consistencies. And it looked like there's a couple of vials that look very similar to each other. There's 2 of those. There's another couple of vials, different sized crystal vials. There's 3 of those. You look at a vial that very much so resembles 5 of them actually resemble that of a potion of healing. There's a couple that are like a standard sized potion of healing, and then you see a couple of vials that are much fancier and a bit bigger than the others. And then you see another 2 vials that appear to be of a completely different mixture. And these vials, these crystal vials, have almost sort of like an egg-like shape to them. And she says, is there something in particular you're looking for? These, unfortunately, I've been wiped out from many of my stores right now. This is all I have to offer at the moment. I have a couple of animal friendship potions. I have a few potions of climbing. I have some healing potions, both the standard variety and the greater healing variety. And I have a couple of potions of water breathing. Those are pretty popular here in Cliffside. A lot of the scavengers and the folk that go out into the harbor, they take the potions of water breathing so that they can go out and spelunk and go into the caves and the mud caves.
I don't know if that sounds fun or not. Can I have one for free to test it out?
Oh, you're a funny one, my dear. I'm afraid I do run a business. I must say, for repeat customers, I'd be more than happy to work out some sort of a deal, but I must insist that you pay full price for what I offer.
Then perhaps some healing potions?
I can
Or
sell you...
to buy, of course.
Of course, I can sell you some healing potions. As I said, I have 2 of your standard healing potions. Those will run you 50 gold apiece. And I also...
Do not buy anything from her until I buy something small. That way we can be repeat customers and get a better deal.
And she just sort of smiles and nods at you. That's not how it works, my dear. Repeat as in coming back on a future purchase. Another...
You have to leave and walk back in.
Guys, I'll buy something small, find me something cheap, and then we'll leave and come back.
I kind of just stand there and watch them planning this out. I'm like, huh?
And it's realizing that what is going on between the 2, she looks at you, Scorched now, and says, dearie, is there anything that I can help you with before I finish this transaction?
How many potions are we buying?
I was gonna buy each of the healing potions.
And there was 5 of them?
I think there was 2 of the plain ones and 1 of the greater ones.
And 3, actually, and she gestures to the counter behind her. You can see these larger crystal vials. I have 3 potions of greater healing for sale. They cost 250 gold apiece.
So one of those and the regular ones I was gonna get.
Okay, so that will be 350 gold.
Done.
All right.
No, I think you can do 275.
What's that?
No, you can let them go for 275.
Oh, the greater healing potions for 275 apiece.
For the healing potion and the standard healing potions.
And why would I do that, dear?
I will mention your name when I order my new custom monocle.
Well, that's very
Oh, of course,
kind.
if you
That's very kind of
if
you.
you give
but-
us a. Go ahead, Jeremy.
That's very kind of you to say that you wish to mention my services to another proprietor somewhere within the city, or to anyone else with prospective customers. It's very kind of you. But again, I must say that I don't know you from any other individual that comes into my shop every day, and I have to run a business. So unfortunately, this is the price that we have arrived at. This is the cost of doing business. You must understand.
Do big lizards normally come in?
I give folk of many types. Just the other day I had a troll come in and buy a poultice for some nasty rash that he had.
Eh.
Is it something we might catch from being in here?
Well, I certainly hope not.
I certainly hope not as well. It'd be a shame if somebody were to go out on the street and tell people that a troll had gotten a nasty rash in your establishment.
Are you trying to intimidate her?
No, I'm thinking out loud.
Okay. She just sort of looks at you and raises an eyebrow and then turns back to the individual who seems to want to actually buy something. And she says, so are we in agreement to potions of healing and one of the greater healing potions, correct?
Yes.
Very well. 350 gold, dear.
I hand it over.
All right, and I will put those potions into your inventory.
Does she have any odd items or just medical things and potions?
She carries mainly potions and herbs.
Okay.
Well, let's see. Bear me 1 second.
Perhaps there's a potion, not a potion, an herb here that you can mix with your tobacco to make it smell nicer.
Oh yes.
I'm
Do you
not
have
really sure how that works.
Do you have anything I can smoke in this pipe besides tobacco?
Well, I am an establishment of not ill repute. I don't carry any of that stuff that they sell in the Undercity, if that's what you're looking for. But I do have a little...
No. See, I'm new to this. I'm looking to explore, broaden my horizons, if you will.
I understand completely. Well, I'll tell you what. And she turns around and she produces a small pouch of very sweet smelling substance, sort of like and she opens it up and she holds it up to your nose so you can smell it. And as soon as you smell it, you get a bit of a head rush from it. It smells like cherry blossoms, but it has a bit of an earthy texture to it. If you mix this with a little bit of tobacco, something like this will keep a cold away.
Oh, that sounds nice.
Clears out the sinuses. It's wonderful stuff. Again, I don't recommend folk imbibe in tobacco use for extended periods of time. It can be heavy on the lungs. It's good for your clearing the head every once in a while, but try not to smoke too much of it at once. It can make you a little sick.
Oh no, I'm just looking to build me a small collection to take with me. I plan on this lasting many years.
You could try tea leaves.
I don't think you're supposed to smoke those. You
I-
drink those.
You
My dear,
drink those.
dear, yes, as your friends say, I would not recommend smoking tea leaves unless you plan on sneezing for 45 minutes.
Have you tried it?
Yes, has anyone ever tried it?
Yes, in fact, I have an herbal remedy for those who have been afflicted by attempting to smoke tea leaves. Well, I tell
Very
you what,
well.
again, I apologize for being so strict with my pricing. I will tell you what. You can have this little pouch to mix with your tobacco that you carry, and she offers the little. It's sort of like an animal skin, and it's got a soft like texture to it, very very smooth, soft texture. And she folds it over, and there's a little button on the front with a loop. Make sure this doesn't get wet, okay, dear? And she hands
What
it
is
to
this
you.
bag? Is this possum?
No, I think it's made of deer hide.
Is it a possum?
Twinkle, lick this and see if it tastes like deer.
Well, okay.
Twinkle, you grab the bag and lick it. It's very soft, very luxurious, and it smells like this cherry mixture, this cherry blossom mixture, whatever it is. It just fills your nose, and you just get a little bit of a head rush from smelling it, and there's a little bit of a taste, sort of like a tangy, spicy taste to the hide which is currently this material is wrapped in.
By chance, do you have anything that'll cure from poisoning of anything?
Are you talking about a remedy for alleviating poison?
Yes.
Afraid not, dear. I don't have anything of that kind. That something like that is more of a magical, less from my abilities. Now, of course, if you came into the shop and you had that sort of affliction, then I could recommend someone that you could go to if you were afflicted with some sort of poison.
Instead, do you know where I might find a library within, probably at a university or anything of the sort?
Well, I would recommend the University District. The University District is in Upper Memphis Plateau. That's where Mulgrave University is located.
Thank you.
You're very welcome, dear. Is there anything else?
That is all for me.
Oh, very well. All is good. It was very nice to meet all of you. I hope to work with you all once again some other time. And I
I
would
apologize, but I do have one other question.
Sure, go right ahead.
I've been practicing herbalism myself, and I'm probably nowhere near as good as you. But do you actually have like a starter pack of herbs that I can use to start making various potions and just practice the trade and just?
Well, I could possibly sell you an herbalism kit if that's what you're looking for.
I have an herbalism kit. I'm just looking for the herbs to go with it. I'm still trying to figure everything out with it. I can make a lesser potion of healing, and I know how to create antitoxin. But other than that, I'm kind of stumped.
Well, I can tell you that I offer classes. I don't typically let raw ingredients and materials out. But I do offer classes. If you come back, I can work with you. It does take some time. This sort of tutelage is something that you would want to come back over the course of a few days. I would say at least 5 days, and I could possibly teach you how to do a few things. And teach you where to cultivate the different herbs that are used for such remedies and potions.
Thank you. That's what I need the most is recipes and areas where I could find the different herbs that I need for these recipes, because I'm going to be traveling a lot, and there's a good possibility I could get a lot of fairly rare ingredients. Perhaps this could go from a tutelage into a business arrangement in the future.
Well, if you're interested, I'd be more than happy to help you along with your studies. I'll tell you what. And she turns around now and she pulls out a little book, and it has a brown, thick cover. It almost looks like it's made out of some sort of animal skin. And on the front of it, you just see what looks like a seed and some sort of plant growing out of it in this sort of embossed cover. And she says, this right here, this is a history of various herbs and plants from all over Eberron. As far as there's many different, there's a manual for first level students of herbalism. Hopefully this would help you in your travels, and I'm not going to charge you for it, dear.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that.
You're very welcome. Just be careful that some of the more advanced concoctions within the book you might have some trouble with. You must be careful when brewing potions. You can sometimes blow yourself up.
I'll make sure to try them on myself before anybody else.
I would be very careful with that, dear. And if you have any questions at all, please. Again, my name is Fala.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Well, we're leaving. Bye.
Farewell. Hope to see you all again. Repeat customers is always a good thing. And as you all head out into the streets of Trollskull Alley, it's been about an hour now, and Alistair just sort of kind of wanders up now, no longer in the form of the human woman, the commoner, and you can see now that his wings stretched out behind him. He's sort of flapping them and then folding them in on himself. Apparently, he had to fly down from the tap room.
Alistair, get this. I just tricked this dumb elf. She thinks I'm a repeat customer, but I didn't buy anything.
Well, I heard that you all broke the lift. Is that true?
No.
That's what that gnome just said. He told Lydia that you all broke the lift.
He must have lied.
And then he scuppered off.
He lied.
I assumed that you all did.
No, that lift was faulty. It almost killed us.
It's a good thing I can fly. Well,
So can I.
what are we off to now? Didn't we have to go back to that mean lady up in the one that we saved her bacon and then she tried to shit all over us? Dalam's friend. What's her name?
Lady E.
Yeah, didn't she say she was going to give us money?
Yes, partial money to help us start our quest.
Well, maybe we should go get that.
But don't we have to go to the place where the cheese is?
Oh, what is she talking about?
Cheese.
Yes, I heard cheese, but what does she mean by we need to go to the place where the cheese is?
Well, you eat cheese.
Oh, I mean, I don't really eat cheese that often. I like cheese.
The place made of cheese.
A place made of cheese. Okay.
Alistair, you're confusing her.
Apparently.
Yes, we're supposed to go to the Gelf's House of Cheddar.
Cheese!
I understand that. What I was saying is, weren't we also supposed to go to this woman and get paid?
Well,
Yes.
yeah. I mean, priorities. We should go get paid first. Then we can get more cheese.
True.
Well,
And a bowl of soup.
why don't we go do
Maybe
that?
they have weird cheeses like black.
Or blue cheese.
You
Oh,
made
this-
that up. There's no such thing as blue cheese.
Next
Or
thing you're...
maybe ones with little bitty bugs in it.
I hope not.
Next you'll tell me there's cheese with little rodents in it. That sounds delicious.
Or with holes all in it.
Why would anybody buy cheese with holes in it? You're getting less cheese for your money. This conversation's gotten stupid. Let's go get our money.
A soft sigh comes from Adalum.
So if you'll remember, the location of the townhouse in which Lady Eladrin was located is within the Central Plateau, the Middle Central Plateau. So you're all welcome to walk there or take a sky coach there, whichever floats your boat.
How long would it take for us to walk there?
Well, let's see. You're currently within Cliffside. So by foot, let's see. That would take you all It would take a little over an hour and a half to walk there.
What if we fly?
No, excuse me. I'm sorry. It would take you all, let's see, 20. It would take you over 2 hours to walk there.
Let's go Sky Coach.
And if you took a Sky Coach, it would take...
If we rent one that looks like a boat,
It would take about...
be whatever floats our boat.
It would take about 35 minutes by Sky Coach.
Let's take the Sky Coach.
Okay. Which of one of you would like to wave down a Sky Coach?
Me, using my special Mr. R ring.
Okay. After you pull up your ring and you begin speaking into, or not the ring, you got a sending stone from Mr. R. If you pull out your sending stone with the emblazoned Warforged wearing the top hat, and you begin holding it in your hand, it sort of warms in the palm of your hand. And you can hear a very familiar, tinny sound of a voice saying,
Hello, you've reached Mr. R. I can't come to the sending stone at the moment, but if you leave a message, I will try to get back to you. I'm just kidding. Hello, friends. What can I do for you?
Hey, we need a ride. We gotta get somewhere.
You gotta get somewhere. Everyone's gotta get somewhere. Where are you all at night? I can swoop on down and pick you up.
We're at this Wood Elf's place, and her name is... Guys, what is her name again?
Farla.
Father. And we're going to leave Father's place and go over to that racist lady's house. What's her...
Lady E.
Lady E, the racist. Can you help
She's
us
not.
out?
Oh, dear.
Father's place? Oh,
Farla's place.
Farla's. Oh, you're talking about Corellin's Crown in Trollskull Hollow. I'm actually not too far away. I'll be there in a few minutes.
and as some time passes and the familiar sight of the 4 Pegasi swooping down into the alley, and you watch as Mr. R's sky carriage now comes to a rolling stop, and the Pegasi are now folding their wings back and nickering and whinnying, and Mr. R leans out from the... My friends! Oh, hello! It's so good to see you all again so soon! I'm glad, hopefully you all had a chance to have a good rest.
More or less, yes.
I slept on the roof.
On the roof? Well, that sounds exciting.
It was.
I haven't slept out in the open air in ages. Not since the war.
Oh, wow.
Well, you said we were off to a racist?
No,
Yes.
just.
Yes.
Oh.
Lady E. She doesn't like Warforged or anything not her.
Oh, goodness. Well, I can understand someone being misunderstanding our kind. You keep one of our kind in your travels. Good day to you, sir. What did you say your name was again? Scorched, was it?
Yes, my name is Scorched.
Well, it's very nice to see you again.
We don't keep him in our company. He keeps us in his. Trust me, out of all of us, he's the nicest one of the group.
He makes food.
Well, that sounds wonderful. Perhaps I can sample it. Oh, I don't eat.
I got it.
Well, if you'll all step into the carriage, I will take you to the racist.
Very well. May I ride up front with you? Notice I have a hat I can wear next to you now.
I was just about to mention, it was a very dapper top hat you have there. Very nice.
Thank you, thank you. Twinkle, jump on top of my hat.
Okay.
And now Varax sitting in the seat next to Mr. R, with Twinkles now sitting in and sort of depressing and pushing down the stovetop style hat. It sort of crumples down a little bit from the weight of Twinkle. And Scorched, Alistair, I assume Adelum, you also head into the sky carriage.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. My lovelies, up into the air once again. Let's take our friends to their racist.
And with a very powerful beat of the wings, the sky carriage launches up into the air over Trollskull Alley and away from Cliffside, up towards the dividing wall that separates Dura from Cliffside. And after about a half an hour, you're able to make it back to the Middle Central Plateau, specifically the Dragon Towers district. The familiar sight of the street with the townhouse lining up against the tower that stretches up to the upper section, the upper level of Central Plateau.
Here we are. Told you it wouldn't take too long. Had to recharge the batteries for that spell that I did the other night. I apologize. I didn't use it again. Does take some time. Well, if there's anything else, I can call me back if you need another ride. Otherwise, I'm going to go see if I can pick up a few fares from some of the more well-to-do folk in this area.
Until next time.
And to you, my friend. Hopefully we can sit down sometime and perhaps have conversation over our origins, where we come from. I'd love to talk to you in private.
It's, if we stay at the Troll Skull again, I'd love to sit down with you.
Oh, perhaps I will stop by sometime. I am pretty busy most of the time, you know. Folk are constantly asking for my ladies and my gentlemen to ferry them off to various corners of the city. I don't think I shall ever leave Sean unless they chase me away.
And with that, Mr. R allows you all to exit the vehicle. He bids you all adieu, and he very quickly snatches the reins up and urges his flying steeds to take the sky carriage off into the distance. You're all now standing outside of the townhouse, and you're watching as the front facade of where the windows once were has apparently been mended in the time that it's taken for you all to head back to Trollskull, have your night's rest. Apparently they have spared no expense to begin repairing the damage done to this building.
Go over to knock on the front door.
Okay. As you approach, you see a laborer who opens the door as you reach up to knock, and he just sort of sheepishly looks at you, says, "Oh, sorry." And he heads around a corner with another one who is carrying out what looks like some sort of ruined tapestry. And they're carrying it out to a cart, which is sitting just outside of the fence, or the wall that separates the compound from the street. And as you head inside, you can see now that there are various workers and individuals who are sweeping up and cleaning, mending. You can see what looks like a couple of Magerites who are currently mending holes and in the walls. And you see standing off and within the foyer of the seating area where you met her once before, with her arms folded, and she just sort of turns and looks and she says, "Oh, Adelum, it's so good to see you again. Please, if you all step in here, please." And she now gestures to the seating area within the foyer.
I take a seat.
She turns now and looks to the rest of you. "Please, have a seat. We have much to discuss."
Gorge will take a seat next to Adelum.
Now, I've given you the basic information of what I require of you, what the House Cannith requires of you. And of course, I have secured traveling papers, and she gestures now to the table in front of her. You can see now there are 5 pentagonal wooden cases, dark wood cases with metal latches on them, and they have the signet of House Cannith sort of burned into the wood. And she now gestures to 5 pouches, small pouches that are sitting next to the cases. And of course, I have your advance payment. I have taken a liberty of securing you all passage to Zendrick. It is in the form of a new type of transportation which was recently developed by House Sulatar. It is an undersea ship with limited flight capabilities. 3
You
such...
mean a submarine?
I have heard in some circles folks have referred to it as such.
Yeah, see, I'm a very fancy and upper class member of society, and I know words like submarine.
Indeed.
I call them swimming ships.
It's very adorable. They are 3 such vehicles that have been constructed. There's a prototype, and there are 2 quote-unquote mission-ready vehicles. House Sulatar built 2 for various intelligence agency, but only one such group has had the vision to purchase one of the ships now that the last war has ended and this new house has rose up with this ingenuity. Of course, one lays within the hands of House Cannith, and the prototype appears to remain with House Sulatar proper. The third, which was purchased by a Captain Biam. What I will need you to do is take this letter of safe passage to Biam within the Greyflood district. He can be found in the vicinity of the Stone Docks, and he will make sure that you all get safely to Stormreach and back again. I have arranged for the payment for this travel. You do not have to worry about your payment, your personal payment for this task being used to pay for this passage. I have taken care of that. And then she now, as she gestures to the boxes in front of you and the pouches, she continues and she looks to each of you and she says, the ship is going to take you to Stormreach. It's a trading town that's located on the northern coast of Zendrick. You might be able to pick up the Emerald Claw Task Force trail in or around Stormreach, but if that doesn't seem to work for you, then I would suggest that you head directly for the ruins which are mentioned in Kedron's notes. It's, again, an ancient site about 400 miles up the Raki River. And, of course, there was a clue within his notes to finding the site once you reach that stretch of the river. At the turn of the river, where the land rises and the hands of stone reach for the sky, look toward the giant's left hand for guidance to the skimmer's resting place. And she now gestures to the pouches, and she says, here, each of you, 2,500 gold worth of gemstones. House Cannith has an arrangement with the Kondarak Bank, and were able to deliver the gemstones earlier this morning. And this, of course, will assist you if you need to make further purchases before you set out for Zendrick. Please, I must insist that you move at the utmost haste. Collect the 4 skimmers and the creation pattern. Bring them to me, and an equal amount will be yours in return for completing this task. I wish you all good luck, and may the fortunes of the houses and the nations smile upon you. Now, if you'll excuse me, unless you have further questions, I need to tend to my house.
I have no other questions, no.
Very well. You have your traveling papers, you have your bonus advance, and I will go ahead and drop those into the party's inventory.
Wouldn't happen to have a monocle lying around, would you?
She sort of like raises an eyebrow and looks at you, and then she walks off a little ways towards the mantle over the fireplace, the hearth, and she takes a little box, small little box, about the size of the palm of her hand, and she hands it over to you, and she says, "This belonged to my father. I have no use for it. I don't use such things. It's funny that you asked for that very thing. It was his most favorite personal item. That and his cufflinks, of course. But the cufflinks, of course, I can't allow those to leave my possession. But you're more than welcome to have this monocle." And as you open up the box, you can see it's made of a silver metal. Possibly, you're not sure exactly. It's a little bit brighter than silver, and it has a silver chain attached to it with a little clip on it.
Well, not knowing where to clip it, I clip it onto the brim of my hat and put it on.
Okay. It's a little awkward at first, the first time you've ever handled a monocle. But after wedging it into your eye socket a little bit, you're able to get it in a way where it holds without having to worry about it falling out from your eye socket. And it hovers a bit just above your eye. And she now looks over towards Adelum and says, "Before I go, dear, again, I must express my heartfelt gratitude for what you and your former companions did for House Cannith, and I know this is unorthodox that I send you off on yet another dangerous task with these newcomers, but I will make good, as I did last night before you left. I will make good, and I will pay you all in full upon completing this task. Consider the advance," and she gestures to all of you now, "as a gesture of good faith in House Cannith and in myself. Now please, if you all, when you have a moment, Captain Biam will be waiting for all of you. I believe the ship will depart soon, though. I wouldn't take too long. Terry." Let's see. And
We'll go straight away.
She now looks to a timepiece and she says, "Oh my goodness. It's almost mid-morning. I believe that Captain Biam wished to make haste at least by noon. So it wouldn't take too long. I wouldn't keep him waiting."
Of course. I have one more thing to do, and then I have no objections to leave.
If you don't find anything, if you find yourselves not able to secure exactly what you need for the trip, I'm sure you might be able to find some when you reach Stormreach. It is a trading town.
True.
Well, let us depart.
Please do.
I'll
Fairly
be
well.
east about it.
Fairly well. Good luck to you all. And with that, the lady exits the foyer and walks off into the house.
As she gets up, I take out my atlas and try to navigate it to find any temples associated with me.
Do you think that she knew by handing me her father's monocle she was asking me to marry her? I mean, I don't mind being a part of House Cannith, but I've never dated a racist.
No, I don't think that's what she meant by handing her father's monocle to you. It's more of a trust and trying to mend what she possibly may have said to offend you before.
By offering her hand in marriage?
Nope,
That seems odd.
that's the opposite. More of an apology gift, possibly, but not marriage. She would have been more forthright about that.
I don't think she would have been. She is an upper class person, and I've read here in great detail that they are not very forthright about anything. Everything has hidden meanings and secret.
I have a question for you. Is there a reason why you're trying to fit in with upper class?
Not particularly.
Do you not like being yourself? Are you trying to be someone else?
Well, I mean, I suppose I can go back to the swamps and be a lizard.
I should mention, Adelim, that she did not give you a bag of gold. She gave you, she gave you a little pouch with 25 amethysts.
All right, then I'll switch them later. Go to the bank. I also scanned the atlas for a bank.
Does that mean you have 2 places you need to go now?
I guess so. I'll hold on to the amethysts for now.
Don't worry. I will speak with my future wife about this in the future.
Oh dear.
Sharn culture is confusing.
I shall have a harsh tongue with her, but not too harsh. I will be firm.
So as you are looking at the Atlas slate, thinking about a bank, you find that the Kondarak Bank of Sharn is located within Koronoth, which is an upper central plateau.
And what about a temple?
Which is 1 level above you. And you said you were looking for a temple?
Yes.
Specifically for your deity?
Yes.
Unfortunately, there is no one within Sharn. No temple to your deity.
Not even small ones?
As you're looking at your your Atlas slate, you just see restricted information. You just see restricted, as it repeats over and over and over again.
Well, that's odd.
And then you see a very, very large circle with a diagonal strike through it, which seems to center over somewhere in the City of the Dead, which is the mausoleums and the large city cemetery, which is off to the northeast beyond Sharn, over the dividing wall.
I'm kind of frustrated by this, but decide I'll just go to the bank.
Okay. All right, so what would you all like to do now?
I'm following her to the bank.
Okay. So I assume you summon Mr. Arn?
Yes, and I would like to sit up front with him this time.
Okay.
But why?
I would just like to speak to him.
You just want to sit up front with him because you knew I wanted to sit up front with him.
I had a feeling you did. That's why I spoke up first.
See, you were fine. I'll sit in the back. Come on, Twinkle. Suppose you want Twinkle to ride on your shoulder too.
I'd rather not. I have Mo already with me.
As I'm saying this, Twinkle has a big line of drool running down my shoulder.
And
fine, I'm getting inside.
In quick succession, you're able to summon Mr. R, who brings his carriage and his 4 Pegasi, and you're all loaded up, and he says, "Well, my friends, we're off to next." And he looks to you, Adelim, as you climb up into the driver's box in the front of the sky carriage, and he reaches out his construct hand to pull you up into the box.
I take his help.
Up you get. Where to?
The bank.
Oh, well, you'll have to be more specific. There's a couple of banks.
On the slate, I saw that there was just one floor above us, or one above us.
Oh, there's a couple above us, actually. There's the Kondarak Bank within the Koronoth. There's, let's see. There's, over in Koron Tivin, there's a few places. There's, I guess it is. Oh, no, that place closed down. Who would ever thought a bank closed down? Well, I suppose you'd want to go to the Kondarak Bank, then.
That'll do, yes.
Very well, I can take you there. No problem at all. Up you get. And he once again gestures with his reins, and in quick succession, all 4 of his Pegasi beat their wings and pull the carriage up into the air once again. And
as we're flying, I would like to speak with him.
Sure, it's a short trip. It won't be less than 10 minutes. And he turns and he says, "So how are you finding yourself within Sharn, the City of Towers? What did you say your name was again, young lady?"
My name is Adela.
Adalum, it's wonderful to meet you. I am again Mr. R, your humble sky carriage driver.
Thank you for taking us around the city so much. I have a question for you.
I hopefully have answers.
I am a cleric of sorts, and was wondering, what are the more proficient temples throughout the city, if any?
Well, the sovereign host is actually really close to where we are right now, and he gestures off to the northeast a bit, and he points over to the temple district. Sovereign Towers is a place of worship for the sovereign host, and of course for the cleansing flame, the cathedral, which is of course for the sacred flame. The more militaristic temple. Is there one in particular that you're looking for?
Of course, I was just wondering of the ones local to this area. Do they have any bias against others?
Well, if you're referring to the ones that were excommunicated from the host, the Dark Six, then I'm afraid you may be out of luck. There's no real places of worship for those types. I have, of course, heard rumors that there is a growing presence to one of the Dark Six somewhere out in the City of the Dead.
Rather interesting. Oh, well, thank you for answering my questions.
I would be very careful if I were you, if you're wishing to seek out such of establishments.
Worry not.
I'm just saying I have some friends who had some dealings with practitioners of the Dark Six, and they're not end well for them. And
I have my ways of, well, being true to what I need to be and helpful in what I need to be. I wouldn't say that I am of a darker descent, definitely not. I'm curious. I just simply.
I understand. And as he says that, he now crests up over to the upper level of the tower now, as he has continued to climb up middle central to the upper level. Here we are, Coronoth Financial District. Watch your step, love, getting off of the carriage.
Thank you.
And you just see opulence from stretching around the towers. You see the larger towers within this area. You see 3 huge spires that are capped off with domes. And you can see a couple of connecting bridges between the 3 that connect it to the other sections of these upper towers. And you see a very large courtyard made of marble in the front of this front facade of the front of this tower. You can just see pillars and columns, enormous columns, just over 100 feet tall, rising up to the capstone and the dome above the top of this large building. Owned by the Dwarven Dragonmarked House, Kundarak. It's the largest bank in Sharn.
I marvel at the building in front of us.
And he now gestures out towards the bank. Well, I'll wait here if there's somewhere else that you wish to go. I don't currently have any pressing matters or places that I need to go.
All right, well, thank you for waiting on us.
Oh, it's no problem at all.
I go ahead and start making my way to the bank to find a teller.
Okay, as you head towards the bank, what are the rest of you doing? Alistair has been very quiet and is just sort of following behind the rest of you, sort of
catching looks from passerbys, the more finer clothed passerbys within this area. A gentleman with also sporting a top hat looks at you and starts to raise his hand up to tip his cap to you, and then realizes the rest of you from the hat down what exactly you are, and he just sort of like, his eyes go a little big as he looks at you, Vrax. And his hand just sort of freezes like he was going to touch it, and now he just sort of brushes his brow like, oh, what's that on my face? And just continues to walk forward like he didn't see you.
That's okay. I'm going to tip my hat in his direction, and I'm going to say, kind sir, and keep walking.
And
Brax, I think you need a bigger hat.
You might be right.
so as you head into Kondrak Tower, you just see rows and rows and rows of tellers stretching in a semicircle all the way around within this circular floor. And you can see individuals who are lining up in roped off areas, and they're just sort of snaking around in the center and spiraling out. And there are little entrances as you get to the end of this queue that allow you to go off into any teller that you wish to go to. And as you line up, the interior of this place is somewhat busy for the afternoon. You can see individuals which are heading up various shapes and sizes, most of which appear to be gnomes, halflings, humans, elves. You don't see many of any of the other types of races. You see plenty of dwarves that are milling about wearing very fine, refined clothing, just spilling out in opulence, just rings on their fingers, some of them wearing gold bands around their foreheads like as if they're princes. And you just see them, a couple of them will spill out from a chamber on the far side of the semicircular chamber within the tower, and then they just sort of mill off. A couple of them you can see are wearing full plate mail made of gold, and they're standing with enormous warhammers resting on the ground, and they're just standing there with one arm resting on the very end of the handle, and just sort of give you all like a curt nod as you walk into the building.
I shall return his nod.
Very, very stern, but respectfully, he continues to look at you all, and no smile, just a stony visage. And he says, "If you have business at the bank, get in line. Otherwise, piss off. No looky loos." So you're gonna
get in line.
Get in line? Okay. The line is moving fairly quickly for as many tellers as there are within the establishment. So after approximately a half an hour of waiting and snaking your way through this circular, very plush, carpeted area, which is laid over this marble floor, you finally find your way to this teller. And as you exit the queue line and approach the teller, you can see the teller looks like he's getting ready to go on a break. And as he's starting to put up a little sign that says, "I'll be back in such and such amount of time," he sort of sighs and looks when he sees you coming and says, "Come forward, please." And he's a very skinny for a dwarf, very gaunt looking features. Like you can almost see that his cheekbones are protruding. He still has that big, thick brown beard, bushy beard. And you can see that he has a few little silver trinkets which are worked into the braids of the mustache. And he says, What business did you have?"
A simple exchange of these stones for gold.
"Stones, you say? Okay, present them, please."
I take out the pouch of amethyst.
And he takes the pouch. He spills the pouch of amethyst out very deftly over this felt surface that's on sort of a padded felt surface in front of him within the teller window. And he begins taking one of the amethysts up, and he holds it up with a small little device that resembles that of a jeweler's eye. And he starts to look at the stones, and he says, "Oh yes, very nice, very nice. You wish to exchange these?
Yes.
Very well. Standard rate, 15%, of course."
Okay. I would like to keep just a small handful of them, so about 5 of them for myself, and then exchange the rest.
So you're going to take 5 amethysts?
Yes.
All right. Each stone is worth 100 gold apiece.
I will keep 3 then.
So, alright, the cost of exchange rate is minus 300, so that will give you. Okay, hold out 1700 gold, and he begins stacking out gold Galifars. Unless you prefer some, I have platinum, I have silver sovereigns if you wish to exchange smaller, but standard exchanges in gold Galifars if that's what you would prefer.
We will stick with the gold, yes.
All right, and he hands you 1,700 gold Galifars, and he has them now neatly stacked in rows in a little wooden box. And he, after stacking the rows of coins, almost like poker chips, end over end in these little rows, and he closes the top of the wooden box, which is stamped with House Kundarak's sigil. And he now pushes the box towards you. Will that be all?
That is all. I put the box within my bag, and even though it's a pretty sizable box and a pretty normal sized bag, the bag doesn't seem to change shape.
Okay. Next, please! And what about the rest of you? Are you guys exchanging amethyst, or are you leaving the bank?
I'm keeping mine. You can't have my amethyst.
Okay. And you just watch as you're all as Adalem, as you're walking away now, there's more individuals are leaving the queues and heading up towards the teller, and he just breathes out of the side, "I haven't got all day, hurry up!" And you just watch as another individual, it's a little gnomish man, he's just sort of like, "Ah!" And he rushes towards the counter, and as he rushes up to the counter, a little podium rises up from underneath him to raise him up to the level of the teller window. And as you all begin to walk out of the Kundarak Bank and make your way back out to the courtyard outside, you can see off in the distance, you can see Mr. R, who is patiently waiting with his sky carriage.
Do you think the floor would have lowered down if I had walked up to the counter?
Possibly.
But now I kind of want to go back in.
Probably a later time we can try that theory out.
Yeah, we've got stuff to do.
And we're on a bit of a time crunch.
Okay. Mr. R.
Anything else?
Mr. R
Anyone
greets you
wants
all.
to get?
Good question. Would anybody else like to do anything else?
I would like to purchase a dragon.
I think Scorch wanted to go somewhere.
I'll go to a storm breach.
Okay, so you're going to wait until you get to Zendrick?
Yes.
Okay, so right now it is approximately 11 a.m. The sun is rising up high in the air. You all wish to take the sky carriage down to the Grey Flood district within Cliffside?
Get to that submarine, yeah.
Okay. Alistair's going to be so mad he didn't get to buy anything while he was here. You snooze, you lose, sucker.
It's okay. We're going to a trade city.
That's true.
He wanted to save up for the finer things in the trade city.
Right. All right, so you're all heading down to Greyflood?
Yeah.
Okay. So over the course of approximately a half an hour, closer to 35 minutes, the sky carriage is able to take you all down back over to the dividing wall that divides Dura from Cliffside. You drift over the wall, flying down into the waterfront district of Greyflood, and you can see that this district is bustling with sailors and laborers. You can see cranes, both arcane and mundane, are helping to lift crates and boxes up from the lower levels to the upper levels. And as you get to this area, you can see that there is an area within the docks with various ships that are lined up on the edges of the docks, and you can see freight which is coming in and off and around. And Mr. R says to you all, "Well, here we are. Hopefully I get to see you all again. You can all call upon me once again. Where are you all off to?"
Headed to Stormwich, which is a port city trade town of Zendrick.
Zendrick? Oh my, that is quite some ways away. My goodness. I honestly don't think I've ever been to Zendrick.
I don't think I have either.
Well, I wish you all the best of luck in your travels. I hope to see you again someday.
Hopefully one day we'll see you too. Again, that is.
All right, well, toodaloo, fare thee well. Take care of that top hat. You look smashing at it, Rax.
Thank you, sir, and you look smashing as well.
Scorched. See you again, sir. You take care of yourself.
You take care of yourself as well.
Might want to have that looked at. And he gestures to the blackened areas of the front of your body.
I'll see what I can do. Thank you.
Oh, you're quite welcome. And as he urges his Pegasi once again off, you watch as the sky carriage launches up into the air over the Greyflood district and away, off towards the city once again. And you're
Hey,
now...
Twinkle, he doesn't even miss you. Ha ha.
He also didn't say anything to Alistair. Probably didn't even notice you, because Twinkle's been riding in your hat this whole time, I assume.
Yeah, I think she's hiding inside my hat with her knife out, waiting to pounce on a bird.
Alright, so you're all now standing within the docks of Greyflood. What would you like to do?
Does anyone even know what a submarine looks like?
Well, yeah,
A
it looks
ship!
like a boat, but it goes underwater.
I feel like a boat wouldn't work underwater. Well, let's
That's
see
what
what we
it
can
was.
find.
Oh, wait, I got it. I figured out how they make it go underwater.
How?
They turn the boat upside down.
So let's look for an upside down boat. Are there any signs of an upside down boat?
Unfortunately, no.
Any signs of a weird thing that might be a submarine?
No, not from where you can see. Standing on the dock, the actual ships below are actually below a ledge. In this particular area, like all of the crates are being pulled up by these arcane crane arms that are pulling up these platforms with the crates on them, pulling them up from the docks below in this section of Greyflood. And you can
Guys,
see.
I just figured it out.
Go ahead.
I just figured out how to find it. If it doesn't look like a boat, and then doesn't look like an upside down boat, then let's look for the boat that doesn't look like a boat. Whichever one that is bound to be it.
So whatever stands out, really.
Well, I mean, if you want to make it simplified, yeah. I mean, said like that, anybody would sound smart.
Alistair looks at all of you and says, I believe we're looking for Captain Biam.
That could help as well.
Why
Is
don't you
there-
just fly down there and look?
I can do that if, well, someone wants to ask about Biam. And he just begins to unfurl his wings out and stretches them out. Stretches his wings out several feet, a very impressive wingspan, and then launches himself up into the air, out over, and begins flying over the harbor.
I'll fly the other way.
Okay. And then, did any of you wish to try and like hunt down the captain?
Yeah, I'll see if I can find a deckhand or someone that I can ask for the captain.
There are many. There are several sailors and laborers which are all milling about this area. Some of them are standing near the crane equipment, operating the arcane cranes, and others are carrying sacks and boxes.
Is there anyone around that
What if
has
it's-
a log on them or anything like that? Like a
You do-
boat log.
You see a very tall man who has a very long beard that stretches down to his belly button, and he is shirtless, and he's wearing suspenders, and he is holding looks like a thin piece of wood, a clipboard, and he has some scrolls of paper on it, and he's currently going over it very, very carefully with a quill pen.
Go up to him.
Scorched, what were you going to say?
No, I was gonna say we should go talk to a dockmaster, which is what we're gonna go do.
Okay. So, Adelim, you approach the very thick gentleman with the large beard.
Yep.
And he, after a few moments, he's just sort of standing there looking out off in the distance, just staring down the line of arcane cranes, which are lowering and raising these platforms of crates. And he's just sort of ignoring you, not looking in your direction, just sort of looks off, and then he kind of sighs, just like a and looks back to his clipboard.
Hello, good afternoon. Was wondering if you could help us.
I suppose so. What business do you have down here?
We're looking for a captain. Captain, what was his name?
There are lots of captains around here. You'll have to be a bit more specific.
Captain
Well-
Bam.
Captain Bam?
That's the one? Yes.
Oh, I think he's having a game of chance right now with some of the other sailors.
And he very quickly points off and towards the southeast.
Right over there, just around the corner, you'll find some sailors playing a dice game.
All right, thank you very much.
Okay.
I toss him a gold for the help. Sure.
All right. And as you get closer to the edge of the building, right around the corner, you just hear this raucous laughter as you see several gnomes and a goblin with a peg leg, which are standing around another gnome with short dark hair. And he says, "Oh, Tyler, I'm gonna take all your money today." And he looks, he just watches. He takes these bone dice and he casts them in sort of like a looping fashion, and they hit the side of this wooden wall and bounce over and end over end, and two little marks come up, both similar, that look like a dragon's head, a side profile, with a little ruby set into where the eye would be. And he says, oh, yeah, that's right, you're going to be paying me all of your money. You're not making any money on this voyage today, my friend. I'm so sorry. This is what you get for playing a game of chance with me. And the goblin just sort of looks at him, doesn't say a word, he just starts to stomp off, and you hear the heavy thump noise as his peg is thunking into the wooden ground of this raised dock area that you're currently standing on. And he turns and he looks around. Oh, thank you, boyos. I'll see you back at the ship. And I'll make sure that that little bastard doesn't take any of my money, okay? Make sure he gives all of it. All right, good. Ringo, thank you. Always a pleasure playing a dice game with you, my friend. And he starts to turn around and he sees all of you sort of congregating nearby. Oh, yes, can I help you all?
Captain Bam?
Captain Biam, that's me. Biam of the ocean depths. What can I do for you?
We were sent here by a lady to get transport.
Okay, did you have a letter of passage from the lady?
Yes, I shuffle through my things and pull out the paper, hand it over.
And he takes the piece of parchment and he looks at it. And he looks at you for a moment and he looks down and his eyebrows raise. Okay. Everything seems to be in order. If you'll just follow me. Is this lot with you? And he gestures to the rest of you.
I look to make sure that it is everyone. There's no one flying around.
Well, currently it's just you, Al, and Scorched. And there's a couple of like random guys that are just kind of standing back, staring at the captain, and they're like, "No, we're not with them. No, not with him at all. No." And they seem to be gesturing towards Scorched. No. Mm-mm. And they all start to scatter and walk away.
I look to the skies for my other friends. There's a couple others. I'm looking for them.
You think what might be a seagull, but it actually is Alistair, who swoops down into the area about 40 yards away from you. And then in the same vicinity, not too long after, you see, riding on a chunk of green crystal with lightning crackling off the back of it, you see Varax swoop down and very quickly leap off of it, and in a snap of his fingers, the device, this crystal, shrinks down, and he puts it into his pack, and they all begin heading back towards you.
I point towards them and send messages individually telling them that we're here to make their way back.
Why are you pointing at them?
It's how I send a message to them.
By pointing at them?
Yes, see? And then I point at you without my mouth moving and I send a message to you saying, it's how I send messages to people distant but still nearby.
How can I do that?
You would have to learn it. It's something I've learned. You can also reply to my messages when I send them.
Can you do this? And I cast Gust at her.
As a brief, not violent, but a brief bit of air just sort of whooshes at you.
No, but are there any torches or something nearby?
Most of what you see around appears to be the Everbright lanterns. And there's a couple that are broken, that have chunks of glass which are broken in places.
No, but I can do other things.
I come striding up and I say, well, can you do this? I know how to use magic and I like to show off. Ha!
I have a torch if you want it.
Kind of fold my arms. I don't need the torch, but thank you.
Okay. So this entire time, Captain Biam has just sort of been standing there, looking at you all and looking at his timepiece. Can we get this party going? These folks coming with you? What's going on?
This is the full group, yes.
Okay, well, if you all follow me, and he turns around, spinning on one of his feet as he does, and begins trundling forward, and begins leading you all towards a warehouse.
Oh, I forgot one of the group members. I'll take off my hat so you can see Twinkle.
And Twinkle now is revealed underneath the hat on top of your head. I assume Twinkle is sleeping. Or she cut 2 holes in the front of the hat and she was looking out.
She's just confused.
Okay. Just giggling. So after a while, Biam leads you all towards a warehouse. And he looks back to you all and has sort of a rakish grin on his face. And he grabs the side of one of the doors and starts pulling it aside. And hidden from view beyond that door, you can see a sunken pool of water. It's almost like a moon pool, if you will. And it contains a very odd-looking vessel. It sort of looks like an airship that has fallen into the water. And it has an elemental binding ring. But the ring itself, which is violently spinning, appears to be made of water instead of the air or fire that you are accustomed to seeing on airships. It's also like a bit thinner than an airship and elongated. And you can see that there don't appear to be open air compartments on the outer surface of this vessel. You can see gnomes, crew members, which are now sort of bustling around and are in the process of what look like transferring cargo crates into an open hatchway at the rear of the craft. There's a little ramp that leads up from the rear into a hatchway at the top. And BM gestures towards the ship and he says, "My friends, this is the Sea Serpent, and I am its captain, Captain BM of the Ocean Depths. Welcome. I know that you all need to reach Stormreach as quickly as possible, so as soon as the cargo is loaded and you're all aboard, we can make on our way."
Wow. I
Now-
kind of look over it in awe.
Now, I have been informed that you all are experienced hands and very capable fighters, warriors. You can hold your own, correct?
Yes, I think so.
All right, that's good. We will need to take a route through Shargon's Teeth, which will cut down at least a day off of this trip. And I hope it doesn't come to it, but hopefully I can rely on you if we need to deal with any resistance within Shargon's Teeth.
Well, we're pacifists, so hopefully not.
Oh, pacifist. That's what I was told. Very well. And he says, "Well, if you'll follow me," and he now gestures to the rear of the vehicle, which is this ramp that leads up into this opening at this top hatch, which is currently propped open. And you can see within there's this narrow, well, not too narrow, but a hallway that leads all the way along the inside of this thin vessel. And as he's walking by, he begins gesturing towards hatch doors. Very odd, like more so than anything that you've ever noticed before. And he begins to show us, "This is where you'll be staying. Because of the space constraints, you'll be packed in with one another."
I kind of look at the group. I'm like, okay, yeah, sure.
We'll away. We'll make off as soon as the cargo is loaded on, of course. And provided everything goes well, cutting through Shargon's Teeth, we could possibly cut down the length of the trip to about 3.5 days.
All right. Plenty of time.
If anything, if you need anything at all, please, you can reach me on the bridge. I'll be at the forward section of the bridge. There are no areas to congregate, of course, within the passenger vessel. Being the first of its time, we haven't really upgraded it with any sort of extra space. So right now, space is a bit limited. We don't take on many passengers, if you will. We're more a cargo vessel than anything else. But the crew has agreed to all stay out of your rooms, and they've allowed you to take 3 of the rooms while they stay in 1.
It's mighty kind of them.
Well, if there's nothing else, if you don't have anything else, you've got to have your traveling papers just in case we're stopped by the harbor master.
All right.
And I would appreciate your discretion. The Sea Serpent, of course, is not its original name. The Sea Serpent was acquired from our friends within House Sulatar that sold the ship to me. It was, of course, called something else, which I believe
In the language of the elves, the drow, it roughly translate to the yellow seafaring vessel. The boys, they didn't they liked that name. It's too hard to pronounce in the common tongue, of course. So that's why I prefer to call it the sea serpent. I even had them painted a darker color, and he starts to gesture in places where the paint has started to flake off on the outer surface of the hull before he's led you into the vehicle proper. And you can see that under this darkened, sort of like a mottled silvery green paint that covers the entire surface of the exterior of the vehicle, you can see in places, you can see a bright yellow underneath of the hull, like this yellow material. And he gestures back and he looks to the rear of the vessel. John, Ringo, George, Paul, if you'd be so kind as to finish loading the crates on, we'll get boarded. And of course, if you'll all follow me, I'll show you to your berths where you can settle and you can put your things down. You can get ready. If any of you wish to watch as we head out into the hilt and off into and out of the river proper into the ocean, you can all join me on the bridge. It's a bit cramped, but you can all sit. I imagine one of the crew would be happy to give up one of the 3 chairs. Of course, you can't have my chair.
Do you have any rodent problems on your ship by any chance?
Rodents? Oh, not at all. We don't have any problems with any sort of vermin on the ship at all. The boys keep it pretty clean. Tyler is one of our new hands. Tyler, if you'd be so kind as to finish helping the boys load that yet, don't give me that look, you fucker. I will rip your God's damned peg leg right off of your body and beat you with it. Get over there and help the boys and finish up. I don't care if I took all your money. And he's continuing to just go on and on as you watch this goblin is gesturing, making rude gestures towards him as he continues to head towards the 4 gnomes that are currently adjusting this loading equipment that's sort of like a conveyor belt, which is shoving crates onto the ramp. I apologize. I'm not usually this excitable, but I just won a considerable amount of gold from that fool over there, and I wish to spend it on our way back when we get back to the City of Towers. Well, I will leave you all to your rooms, and if you need me, I will be on the bridge. All right, boys, take care of it from here. We cast off at noon sharp. And as you watch from within the somewhat cramped confines of this long hall that leads to the front of what you are fairly certain is the cockpit of this vehicle, you watch as more crates are loaded into this wide opening at the end of the ship, and you watch the crates are now being pushed off into side areas just off to the side of either side and being stacked. They're being loaded into crated off, marked off areas beyond this small corridor which leads to the series of rooms within this chamber, and that's where we're going to end for tonight.
We didn't even fight anybody. How can we stop now?